The town of Willow Creek worshipped my brother, Caleb, like he was the second coming of some small-town messiah. His name was on every lip, his face on every flyer, his laugh echoing through the diner like it was the soundtrack of our lives. And me? I was just Eli, the shadow trailing behind his golden light, invisible unless I stepped out of line. It wasn't always like this. Growing up, Caleb and I were two peas in a pod, sharing secrets under the willow tree by the creek, dreaming of escaping this suffocating town. But somewhere along the way, he became their hero, star quarterback, volunteer firefighter, the guy who'd stopped to help old Mrs. Carter with her groceries. I didn't begrudge him the love. I just wanted someone to see me. Not Caleb's little brother. Not the quiet kid who sketched in the margins of his textbooks. Just Eli. That's why I did it. That's why I set my sights on Jasper Kane, Caleb's closest friend, the one person who seemed to orbit him as closely as I once did. Jasper was everything I wasn't. Confident, charming, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and make it brighter just by being there. He was Caleb's right-hand man, the one who laughed loudest at his jokes, who carried the other half of their inside stories. If I could make Jasper see me, really see me, maybe I'd finally step out of Caleb's shadow. It started at the town's annual harvest festival, the air thick with the scent of caramel apples and the hum of a local band playing covers of old country hits. I stood at the edge of the crowd, sketching the Ferris wheel's silhouette in my notebook, when I saw them, Caleb and Jasper, arms slung around each other, laughing like the world belonged to them. My chest tightened, a familiar ache of being on the outside looking in. But then Jasper's eyes caught mine, just for a second, and something flickered there. Curiosity? Recognition? I couldn't tell, but it was enough to plant the seed. I didn't have a plan, not really. I just knew I wanted him to notice me. So I started small, lingering after Caleb's football practices, offering to grab water for the team, brushing past Jasper just close enough to feel the warmth of his arm. He'd smile, that easy, disarming grin, and say something like, "Hey, Eli, didn't see you there." But he did see me. I could tell by the way his gaze lingered a beat too long, the way his voice softened when he said my name. One night, after a game, I found him alone by the bleachers, scrolling through his phone. Caleb was off signing autographs for kids, basking in the town's adoration. I took a breath, my heart pounding, and walked over. "You ever get tired of being his sidekick?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. Jasper looked up, surprised, then laughed. "Sidekick? Nah, man, we're just buds. Caleb's the real deal. You know that." I shrugged, leaning against the bleacher rail, closer than I needed to be. "Sure, but what about you? What's your deal, Jasper?" He tilted his head, studying me like he was seeing me for the first time. "You're different, Eli. Not like Caleb. You've got this edge." That word, edge, lit something in me. I wasn't just Caleb's shadow to him. I was something else, something he couldn't quite pin down. I leaned in, my voice low. "Maybe you should find out just how different." His eyes widened, but he didn't pull away. The air between us crackled, charged with something unspoken. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I wasn't stopping. Not now. Not when I was finally being seen. The next few weeks were a blur of stolen moments. I'd catch Jasper at the diner, sliding into the booth across from him when Caleb was late. I'd text him dumb memes at midnight, knowing he'd reply with a laugh. Each time, I pushed a little further, teasing, flirting, letting my hand brush his when we passed a soda can back and forth. He didn't stop me. If anything, he leaned into it, his smiles turning softer, his glances heavier. But it wasn't enough. I wanted more than fleeting moments. I wanted to carve out a space in his world that was mine, not Caleb's. So when the town announced a charity talent show, I saw my chance. Caleb was performing some cheesy acoustic cover, naturally, but I signed up too. Not to sing or dance. I wasn't that brave. I'd read a poem, one I'd written about feeling invisible in a town that worshipped someone else. I didn't tell anyone, not even Jasper. I wanted him to hear it raw, unfiltered, in front of everyone. The night of the show, the community center was packed. Caleb went first, strumming his guitar to a crowd that hung on every note. I stood backstage, my heart hammering, my poem clutched in sweaty hands. Jasper was in the front row, his eyes on Caleb, but I swore I saw him glance my way. When my name was called, I stepped into the spotlight, my voice shaking but steady enough to start. "This is for anyone who's ever felt unseen," I said, and then I poured it all out. The loneliness, the ache, the desperate need to be more than a shadow. The room was silent, hanging on my words, and when I finished, there was a beat before the applause hit, loud and overwhelming. But I wasn't looking at the crowd. I was looking at Jasper. His face was unreadable, but his eyes were locked on mine, intense and searching. As I stepped off the stage, he stood, clapping slowly, deliberately, like he was trying to tell me something. My pulse raced. Had I done it? Had I finally broken through? After the show, I found him outside, leaning against the community center's brick wall, the night air cool against my flushed skin. "That was something, Eli," he said, his voice low. "I didn't know you had that in you." I stepped closer, emboldened. "There's a lot you don't know about me, Jasper." He didn't move, didn't speak, just watched me with that same intensity. The space between us felt like it could ignite. I wanted to close it, to cross the line I'd been towing for weeks. But before I could, Caleb's voice cut through the night, calling Jasper's name. The moment shattered, and Jasper turned away, leaving me standing there, heart pounding, wondering if I'd pushed too far, or not far enough. The days after the talent show felt like walking on a tightrope. I'd bared my soul in front of Willow Creek, and though the town buzzed with whispers about my poem, it was Jasper's reaction that haunted me. That look in his eyes, part awe, part something deeper, kept me awake at night, replaying every word, every glance. I was in too deep now, and there was no turning back. Caleb, of course, was oblivious. He slapped my back the next morning, grinning. "Didn't know you had it in you, little bro." That poem was intense. His praise stung more than it should have, like he was claiming a piece of my moment. I mumbled a thanks and slipped out to the creek, sketching the ripples in the water to calm the storm in my chest. Jasper found me there an hour later, his boots crunching on the gravel path. "You're hard to track down, Eli," he said, settling beside me on the bank. His presence was electric, making the air feel too small. I kept my eyes on my sketch, afraid to meet his gaze. "Just needed some quiet," I said, my pencil scratching harder than necessary. "Town's too loud sometimes." He chuckled, low and warm. "Yeah, I get that. Caleb's got this way of sucking up all the oxygen, doesn't he?" I froze, my pencil hovering. It was the first time I'd heard Jasper acknowledge it, the way Caleb's light overshadowed everyone else. I glanced at him, searching for a crack in his usual easygoing mask. "You ever wish it was different?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jasper leaned back, his hands behind his head, staring at the sky. "Sometimes. But it's hard to step out of his orbit, you know? He's Caleb." I wanted to scream that I didn't know, that I'd been trying to escape that orbit my whole life. Instead, I set my sketchbook down and turned to face him. "What if you could? What if you chose your own path, Jasper?" His eyes met mine, and for a moment, the world stopped. There was something raw there, something that mirrored the ache I'd carried for years. "You make it sound easy," he said, his voice rough. "It's not." I didn't think. I just acted. I reached out, my hand brushing his, my fingers lingering on his knuckles. His breath hitched, but he didn't pull away. The creek babbled beside us, the only sound in the universe. "It could be," I said, my heart in my throat. "If you let it." For a heartbeat, I thought he'd lean in, close the gap. But then he stood abruptly, shoving his hands in his pockets. "I gotta go," he muttered, and he was gone before I could say another word. I sat there, my hand still tingling from where it had touched his, cursing myself for pushing too hard. The next week was torture. Jasper avoided me, sticking closer to Caleb than ever, like he was using my brother as a shield. I saw them at the diner, laughing over fries, and it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Had I misread everything? Was that spark I'd felt just my own desperate imagination? I threw myself into my sketches, filling pages with jagged lines and shadowed faces, trying to drown out the doubt. But then, late one night, my phone buzzed. A text from Jasper. Meet me at the old barn on Route 12. Midnight. My heart leapt, then sank. Was this a confrontation? A rejection? I didn't know, but I couldn't stay away. The barn was a crumbling relic, surrounded by overgrown fields, the kind of place kids dared each other to sneak into. When I arrived, Jasper was already there, leaning against a rusted tractor, his face half lit by the moon. You came, he said, like he hadn't been sure I would. You asked, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. What's this about? He stepped closer, his eyes searching mine. That poem, Eli. It's been stuck in my head. You got under my skin. My breath caught. Is that a bad thing? He laughed, a shaky sound. I don't know. It's complicated. Caleb's my best friend. This town, it's got expectations. But you. He stopped, running a hand through his hair. You make me question everything. I took a step closer, close enough to feel the heat of him. Good, I said, my voice low. Maybe it's time you did. He looked at me, his eyes dark and stormy, and then he kissed me. It was sudden, desperate, like he'd been holding it back for weeks. My hands found his shoulders, pulling him closer, and for the first time, I felt seen, not as Caleb's brother, but as Eli, whole and real. The kiss was over too soon, and when he pulled back, his face was a mix of fear and wonder. We can't tell anyone, he whispered. Not yet. I nodded, my heart racing. Not yet. But secrets in Willow Creek don't stay buried long. The next day, I caught Caleb watching me, his brow furrowed like he knew something was off. I brushed it off, but the guilt was already creeping in. Jasper was his best friend. What was I doing, pulling him into my rebellion? And yet, I couldn't stop. Not when Jasper's touch made me feel alive. Not when his whispers promised a world where I wasn't just a shadow. Hiding with Jasper was like stealing breaths in a room running out of air. Every stolen kiss behind the bleachers, every late-night text, felt like a victory against the town's suffocating worship of Caleb. But each moment also tightened the knot of guilt in my chest. Jasper was Caleb's best friend, and I was betraying him in a way that cut deeper than I'd expected. We met in secret, abandoned barns, the creek at midnight, the back seat of Jasper's truck parked on a dirt road. Each time, I told myself it was worth it. The way Jasper's fingers traced my jaw, the way his laugh softened when it was just us, made me feel like I was finally claiming something for myself. But the secrecy gnawed at me. I wanted to walk down Main Street with his hand in mine, not sneak around like we were committing a crime. Caleb started to notice. He'd catch me staring at Jasper during team dinners, his eyes narrowing like he was piecing together a puzzle. You okay, Eli? He asked one night, his voice casual but probing. You've been distant. I shrugged, poking at my fries. Just busy. You know, school, sketches, whatever. He didn't buy it, but he let it go, his attention pulled back to the crowd of admirers who always seemed to materialize around him. Jasper, sitting across the table, shot me a glance, quick, fleeting, but heavy with meaning. My heart raced, and I hated how much I wanted to reach for him right there, in front of everyone. The tension broke at the town's winter fair. The air was crisp, strung with fairy lights, and the scent of hot cider. Caleb was manning the fire department's booth, charming the crowd as usual, while I wandered the stalls, my sketchbook tucked under my arm. Jasper found me near the ice rink, his breath visible in the cold. You're gonna freeze out here, he said, tossing me his scarf. I caught it, the wool warm from his neck, and wrapped it around mine. His scent clung to it, and I had to fight the urge to bury my face in it. Thanks, I said, my voice softer than I meant. You didn't have to. He stepped closer, his eyes scanning the crowd before settling on me. I wanted to. You make it hard to stay away, Eli. My heart stuttered. Then don't. He glanced around again, nervous, then grabbed my hand and pulled me behind a stack of hay bales, out of sight. His lips were on mine before I could speak, urgent and hungry, like he was making up for lost time. I kissed him back, my hands in his hair, the world fading to nothing but us. For a moment, I didn't care about Caleb, the town, or the secrets. There was only Jasper, and the way he made me feel like I mattered. But then a voice cut through the haze. Eli. It was Caleb, closer than he should have been. We sprang apart, my heart hammering. Jasper swore under his breath, stepping back into the shadows. I smoothed my jacket, trying to look normal, and stepped out to face my brother. Hey, I said, my voice too high. Just getting some air. Caleb's eyes flicked from me to the hay bales, suspicion hardening his features. With Jasper? He asked, his tone sharp. I froze. Jasper stepped out, his face a mask of calm. Just talking, man. Eli was showing me his sketches. Caleb didn't look convinced, but the crowd pulled him away before he could press further. I let out a breath, my hands shaking. Jasper touched my arm, brief but grounding. We gotta be more careful, he whispered. I nodded, but inside, I was screaming. Careful wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted us, out in the open, not hiding like we were ashamed. That night, I couldn't sleep, my mind racing with what-ifs. What if Caleb found out? What if the town turned on us? What if Jasper decided I wasn't worth the risk? The next day, I found Jasper at the community center, helping set up for a fundraiser. I pulled him aside, my voice low but firm. We can't keep doing this, Jasper. Sneaking around, it's killing me. He looked torn, his hands fidgeting. I know. But Caleb, this town, it's not that simple, Eli. Then make it simple, I said, stepping closer. Choose me. Not the town, not Caleb. Me. His eyes searched mine, and for a moment, I thought he'd say yes. But then he shook his head, his voice barely a whisper. I need time. Time. The word felt like a slap. I walked away, my chest tight, wondering if I'd been a fool to think I could ever step out of Caleb's shadow. But as I left, I caught Jasper watching me, his expression a mix of longing and fear. He wasn't ready, but he wasn't letting go either. And that was enough to keep me holding on, for now. Time didn't make things easier. If anything, it sharpened the edges of everything. My longing for Jasper, my guilt over Caleb, the weight of Willow Creek's expectations. I started avoiding the diner, the creek, anywhere I might run into either of them. But Jasper had a way of finding me, like he could sense the pull between us even when I tried to cut it. One afternoon, he showed up at my house, knocking on the garage door where I'd set up my makeshift art studio. I was mid-sketch, charcoal smudging my fingers, when I heard his voice. Eli, you in there? I hesitated, then opened the door. He stood there, hands in his pockets, looking like he hadn't slept in days. You've been dodging me, he said, not accusing, just stating a fact. I shrugged, wiping my hands on a rag. Figured you needed your time. He winced, stepping inside. The garage smelled of paint and dust, my sketches pinned to the walls like a map of my heart. He glanced at them, his eyes lingering on a drawing of two figures under a willow tree, their hands almost touching. This is us, isn't it? He asked, his voice soft. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. He stepped closer, his hand brushing mine, and I felt that familiar spark. I'm trying, Eli, he said. I want this, us, but it's not just about us. Caleb's like a brother to me. If he finds out, then tell him. I cut in, my voice sharper than I meant. Tell him, or I will. I'm done hiding. Jasper's face paled, but he didn't back away. You don't get it. This town, they'll tear us apart. You think they'll just smile and wave if we walk out together? They worship Caleb, and I'm supposed to be his loyal sidekick. If we do this, it's not just him we're betraying. It's everyone. I laughed, bitter. So what? We live in the shadows forever? I'd rather burn it all down than keep pretending I'm invisible. He stared at me, his jaw tight, and then he kissed me. It was different this time. Fierce, almost angry, like he was fighting himself as much as me. I kissed him back, pouring all my frustration, all my need, into it. When we broke apart, his forehead rested against mine, his breath ragged. You're gonna ruin me, Eli, he whispered. Good, I said, my voice shaking. Maybe we both need to be ruined. We didn't talk about Caleb or the town after that. We just stayed there, tangled in each other, the world outside the garage fading away. But reality always creeps back in. That night, Caleb cornered me in the kitchen, his arms crossed. What's going on with you and Jasper? He asked, his voice low, dangerous. My heart stopped. Nothing. I lied, but my voice cracked. He stepped closer, his eyes searching mine. Don't lie to me, Eli. I see the way he looks at you, the way you look at him. If something's happening, you need to tell me. I wanted to. God, I wanted to spill everything, to stop carrying the weight of this secret. But I saw the hurt in his eyes, the betrayal already forming, and I couldn't do it. It's nothing, I repeated, turning away. Just drop it. He didn't, but he let me walk away. The guilt was a physical thing now, a stone in my chest. I texted Jasper later, my fingers trembling. Caleb knows something. We need to figure this out. His reply came hours later. I'm sorry, Eli. I need to think. I threw my phone across the room, the screen cracking against the wall. I was losing him, losing myself, and I didn't know how to stop it. The next day, I saw them together at the park, Caleb and Jasper, tossing a football like nothing had changed. I watched from a distance, my sketchbook forgotten in my lap. Jasper laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. Caleb glanced my way, and I swear he knew. I stood, ready to confront them both, to end this charade, but my feet wouldn't move. I was still the shadow, still unseen, and the weight of it was crushing me. I couldn't keep living like this, torn between wanting Jasper and hating myself for betraying Caleb. The secret was a noose, tightening with every glance, every touch. I decided to end it, one way or another. I texted Jasper, meet me at the creek. Tonight. We're talking, no more running. He showed up just after midnight, his face pale under the moonlight. Eli, I don't know if I can do this, he said before I could speak. Caleb's my best friend. This town they'll never let us be. I stepped closer, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I don't care about the town. I care about you. About us. If you don't, then walk away now. But don't string me along. He didn't walk away. Instead, he grabbed my face and kissed me, hard and desperate, like he was trying to anchor himself. I don't want to walk away, he whispered against my lips. But I'm scared, Eli. I've never felt like this before. I pulled back, searching his eyes. Then stop hiding. Tell Caleb. Tell the world. Or I will. He nodded, his jaw tight. Okay, tomorrow. We'll tell him together. Tomorrow came too fast. We met at the diner, the three of us, the air thick with tension. Caleb sat across from us, his coffee untouched, his eyes flicking between me and Jasper. So, he said, his voice flat. What's this about? I looked at Jasper, waiting for him to speak, but he froze, his hands gripping the table. My heart sank. I couldn't wait for him to find the courage. Caleb, I said, my voice shaking. Jasper and I were together. The silence was deafening. Caleb's face went blank, then hard, like stone. Together, he repeated, his voice low. You're telling me you're what, dating my best friend? Behind my back? Jasper finally spoke, his voice barely audible. It just happened, man. We didn't mean to hurt you. Caleb laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Didn't mean to hurt me? You've been lying to me, both of you. My brother. My best friend. He stood, his chair scraping against the floor. You know what? Do whatever you want. Just don't expect me to cheer you on. He stormed out, leaving Jasper and me staring at the table, the weight of his words crushing us. I reached for Jasper's hand, but he pulled away. I can't do this, he whispered. Not like this. He left too, and I was alone, the diner's hum fading to a dull roar in my ears. I'd wanted to be seen, but not like this, not at the cost of everything. I walked home, my mind spinning, wondering if I'd just destroyed the only family I had. The town didn't take long to catch wind. By the next day, whispers followed me everywhere. At school, at the gas station, even at the creek. Caleb's brother stole his best friend. Poor Caleb, betrayed like that. I was the villain now, and Jasper was nowhere to be found. He didn't text, didn't call, didn't show up at our usual spots. I'd pushed him too far, and now I was paying the price. But I wasn't done fighting. I found him at the barn, sitting on a hay bale, staring at nothing. "You can't just disappear," I said, my voice breaking. "You said you wanted this." He looked up, his eyes red. "I do, Eli. But I can't lose Caleb. I can't lose everything." "Then fight for it," I said, stepping closer. "Fight for us. Or are you just going to let this town decide who you are?" He stood, his hands shaking. "You think it's that easy? You think I can just choose you and everything's fine? They'll hate us, Eli. They'll hate me." I grabbed his shoulders, forcing him to look at me. "Let them. I don't care. I choose you, Jasper. Choose me back." He didn't answer, but he didn't pull away either. We stood there, the barn creaking around us, and I knew this was the moment that would define us. Either we'd step into the light together, or we'd fall apart. Jasper didn't choose me that night. He didn't choose anything. He just walked away, leaving me in the barn with the echo of my own words. I spent the next few days in a haze, avoiding Caleb, avoiding the town's judgmental stares. My sketchbook became my only refuge, filled with jagged lines and half-formed faces. Jasper's eyes, Caleb's clenched jaw, my own desperate expression staring back at me. Caleb wasn't speaking to me. He'd moved his stuff to the guest room, his silence louder than any argument. I wanted to fix it, to explain, but every time I opened my mouth, the words died. How do you tell your brother you fell for his best friend just to feel like you existed? The town's gossip mill churned relentlessly. At school, kids whispered behind my back, their words sharp as knives. "Eli's always been jealous of Caleb. He's just trying to tear them apart." I kept my head down, my sketches hidden, but the weight of their judgment was suffocating. I started to wonder if I'd been wrong, if wanting to be seen was a mistake. Then Jasper texted me, 3 words that stopped my heart. "I'm sorry, Eli." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Before I could type, another message came. "Meet me at the creek. Please." I shouldn't have gone. I should have let him go, let this whole thing die. But I was too far gone, too desperate for him to choose me. He was waiting by the willow tree, his hands stuffed in his jacket, his eyes fixed on the water. "I messed up," he said as I approached. "I got scared, and I ran. But I can't stop thinking about you." My heart leapt, but I kept my voice steady. "Then stop running, Jasper. You can't keep doing this to me." He turned, his eyes raw. "I know. I'm trying to figure it out, okay? He's hurting. But so am I. And you." He stepped closer, his voice breaking. "You're the only thing that feels real right now." I wanted to believe him, but the hurt was too fresh. "Then prove it," I said. "No more hiding. No more excuses. If you want me, show me." He nodded, his jaw tight. "Okay, I'll talk to Caleb. I'll make this right." We didn't kiss, didn't touch. We just stood there, the creek whispering between us, a fragile promise hanging in the air. I wanted to believe him, but doubt was a heavy thing, and I'd carried it too long. The next day, Jasper did something I didn't expect. He showed up at the diner during the lunch rush, the place packed with Willow Creek's usual crowd. Caleb was there, holding court at a corner booth. Jasper walked straight to him, ignoring the curious stares. I was at the counter, sketching, my heart in my throat. "Caleb," Jasper said, loud enough for the room to hear, "I need to tell you something." The diner went quiet, all eyes on them. Caleb looked up, his face guarded. "What?" Jasper took a deep breath, his voice steady but shaking at the edges. "I'm in love with Eli. I have been for a while, and I'm done hiding it." The words hit like a thunderclap. Caleb's face froze, then twisted with anger. "You're what?" he said, standing. "You're telling me this now, in front of everyone?" "I had to," Jasper said, not backing down. "I'm not ashamed of him. I'm not ashamed of us." Caleb stared at him, then at me, his eyes burning with betrayal. He didn't say a word, just pushed past Jasper and out the door. The diner erupted in whispers, but I didn't care. I was looking at Jasper, who was looking at me, his eyes saying everything he couldn't. He crossed the room, took my hand, and pulled me outside. The town could talk all they wanted. For the first time, I didn't feel invisible. I felt alive. The fallout was brutal. Willow Creek turned on us, their golden boy's betrayal too much to stomach. Jasper and I were the talk of the town, but not in the way Caleb had been. Whispers followed us everywhere, grocery store aisles, school hallways, even the creek. How could they do that to Caleb? Poor guy, losing his brother and his best friend. I wanted to scream that I wasn't trying to hurt Caleb, that I just wanted to exist, but no one cared about my side. Caleb wouldn't look at me. He stayed at a friend's house, leaving our home heavy with silence. I left notes on his bed, sketches of the willow tree, apologies in smudged charcoal. He never responded. I didn't know if he'd ever forgive me, but I couldn't regret Jasper, not when he was the only one who saw me. Jasper took the brunt of it. His teammates iced him out, his parents gave him the cold shoulder, and the town's adoration turned to judgment. But he didn't waver. He held my hand in public, his grip tight, like he was daring anyone to say something. At the diner, he'd pull me into his booth, his arm around me, his smile defiant. "Let them stare," he'd say. "They'll get over it." I wasn't so sure. Willow Creek had a long memory, and Caleb was their saint. But Jasper's courage gave me strength. I started sketching again, not to hide, but to claim my space. I pinned my drawings around town, on bulletin boards, in shop windows, portraits of Jasper and me, of love that refused to be invisible. Some were torn down, but others stayed, and slowly, a few people started to nod, to smile, to see us. One night, I found Caleb at the creek, sitting under our old willow tree. My heart stopped, but I approached, my sketchbook clutched like a shield. "Caleb," I said, my voice barely audible. "Can we talk?" He didn't look at me, just stared at the water. "You broke everything, Eli," he said, his voice raw. "You and Jasper. You took it all." I sat beside him, my chest aching. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I needed to be seen. Not as your brother, but as me." He was quiet for a long time, then finally looked at me. "I didn't know it was like that for you. I should have seen it." I swallowed hard, tears stinging my eyes. "I'm sorry. I love him, Caleb. But I love you too." He nodded, slow and heavy. "I need time, Eli. But I don't hate you. I don't hate Jasper. I just don't know how to do this yet." It wasn't forgiveness, not fully, but it was a start. I left him there, my heart lighter than it had been in weeks. When I told Jasper, he pulled me close, his lips brushing my forehead. "We'll get through this," he said. "Together." And we did. It wasn't easy. Willow Creek didn't change overnight. But we carved out our space, step by step. I kept sketching. Jasper kept holding my hand. And slowly, the town's whispers faded. Some people even came around. Mrs. Carter brought us cookies. The diner's cook slipped us free fries. Caleb started talking to us again. Small steps toward mending what we'd broken. In the end, I didn't just want to be seen. I wanted to live, fully and unapologetically, with Jasper by my side. And as we stood under the willow tree one evening, his hand in mine, the town's lights glowing in the distance, I realized I had. We weren't shadows anymore. We were us, and that was enough.